Hey everyone, I'm Sakar, and today I wanted to talk about a big problem that I've experienced with both myself and with teammates a lot of the time in Marvel Rivals. I feel like a lot of people in the competitive ladder have gone through this exact same thing. So let me know if this is something that you guys deal with as well. And that is not knowing when to switch off of the character that you are on. I'm not saying that this is just for you. I'm talking about teammates as well. The amount of times that I genuinely feel that we can turn a losing game into a winning game if we make one person or two people switch the characters that they're on. I feel like that happens to me so often. And let me know if that happens to you ever, because I don't know if this is just a me experience, but I don't know. I feel like it can't be, right? Other people have to go through this as well. So basically what I'm saying is I'm not really just putting all the blame on my teammates as well. This happens to me a lot too. And it happens, I need to learn when to switch a lot more, because I do have my favorite characters that I like to play, but you need to be realistic and you need to be flexible in order to really get the most out of the competitive environment. So basically what I'm saying is people on my team, I had a teammate yesterday, literally yesterday, in a GM1 lobby. I'm really trying to get back up to Celestial. I wasn't Celestial, then I dropped. But anyway, I had a teammate that was on Magic against an anti-dive comp, and they were like, I think 5-7 or 5-8. And I was being very respectful. I wasn't flaming them. I was like, hey, I see you're on Magic. I see you like Magic. They were Lord Magic. But I was like, hey, man, I don't think it's working right now. You're playing Magic into an anti-dive comp. If you switch to maybe third support or even a different DPS where you could get a little bit more value, I really feel like that could turn the game around. And that man was just not listening and just being stubborn. And we ended up losing the match. And he was the only person on our team that ended up going negative, which again, KDs don't really mean much. I mean, especially if you lose, like who cares, like at the end of the day. But I really feel like as an overall unit, we were playing 5v6 because I had a stubborn teammate that just absolutely refused to switch. So I've been in that situation too, where I'm like, no, this is my favorite character, I want to play him, but it's just not working out. So I've tried to get better over the last few weeks and everything, just to be able to switch more, because I know this is going to be a groaner for a lot of you guys, but I love Moon Knight and I think he's such a fun character, especially if you learn how to aim with him and not just rely on your onks. He is insanely good and he could definitely change a match in 2 seconds. But I want to go over a few good reasons as to why I feel like everybody should be able to switch more often. And I'm talking about everybody. So this isn't just for you, this is for your friends as well. And honestly, this video is for myself as well. So as we get started, if you guys could just do me a giant favor, just hit that like button for me. I would really appreciate that. So the first thing that I put together on my list as far as why you should be able to switch more often is because it's just going to reduce frustration and tilt, man, and you're just not going to tilt as much. So basically, if you're having a rough game with one character, that happens all the time. Even on my main Moon Knight, I have bad games. It happens to literally everybody. Pros have bad games, you have bad games, I have bad games, we all have bad games. So don't just be like, hey, this is my main character and just stick to it. I feel like it's good to be able to switch it up, especially be able to play different roles as well. That way you can swap as well. So I think that this is also going to reduce frustration, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, damn, Moon Knight's my favorite character, but it's not working. So like, what do I do? Like, I'm not providing as much value right now. I remember the same thing yesterday, another one of my matches as well. When the match started, there was only one support. So I was like, I guess I'll fill that role. And I went second support. And at the end of the first round, we lost the first round. We were on domination, and we lost the first round. And I was like, hey, do you mind if one of the DPS switches with me? I feel like I could, do pretty well at DPS. And we had one of our DPS that was kind of struggling a little bit. And he said, yeah, sure, I'll switch. He went to support, I went to DPS, and we ended up actually winning the match. And that's not me patting myself on the back, because I still needed that support to do his job as well, which he did excellently. He did it amazingly. So it's really about key switches that help your team and not just you as well. I don't think we could have won that match if I stayed on support, because I'm not really the best support player to ever exist, and he was having a rough game as well on DPS. So we switch a few things around, and it's like using it just kind of, it's a jigsaw puzzle sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta switch a few pieces around, and then they just stick right into place. So as I was saying before, if you switch more often, and if you're like, hey, I recognize that I'm having a bad game, it's going to reduce the frustration by switching, because then you can help your team a little bit more if there's other DPS are doing well. And if you go triple support, maybe you can help your other DPS stay alive that are, you know, doing a lot better. And you know, and it happens. At the end of the day, a win is a win in this game, especially in competitive, and I'll take every single one that I can get. So I definitely recommend just being able to switch more often because of that. Also, a big thing to do is just do counterpick. Like, counterpick what makes the enemy strong. A lot of the times I like Moon Knight. You guys know I like Moon Knight. I said it 1,000 times already in this video, and I'll probably say it 1,000 more. But you know how many times the enemy has tried to counter me by going dive, like Spider-Man, Black Panther, Psylocke, all that stuff? And it's usually a bad time for me. So what I do is then I'll just go anti-dive. Like, Moon Knight's not an anti-dive character, but I mean, I can also learn to play those anti-dive characters. So at the end of the day, switching characters and then recognizing to switch characters is really healthy for your overall gameplay as well, because you can ever evolve and ever shift your strategy in the game. That way your enemies can't really keep it in a lock on your team, and they can't dominate the match. If they counter you, you counter them countering you, and you know, just make sure you just keep on playing to the best of your abilities and do what really makes your team strong as well. But also, I want to go over this as well, and it's really adapting to your team's needs as well. That's a huge part of filling and just being able to switch characters as well. The amount of times that I've been on and I want to play DPS, guys, I like DPS. It's my favorite role in the game. It's a lot of people's favorite role in the games. There's a reason why it's very popular. It's a very fun role. But the amount of times that I'm like, well, I guess I'll go play some support, and then I go lock the second support or something like that. Your team kind of needs that sometimes, and you're not gonna be the front person of your team every time. I don't recommend that you do be the front person of your team every time. Like it's kind of healthy to be able to understand all roles as well. So if you learn all those roles, that you understand what makes them strong, what makes them weak, and how to really help the weakness on your team, like how to pick up that slack and how to expose that weakness in the enemy team as well. So that's a huge thing to think of. And that's really why I like that as well. And that's why another reason why I like filling when I can. Obviously, I prefer to play DPS, but I will fill when I have to, and I will switch when I have to. Because another thing as well is sometimes single tank is fine. Other times you need 2 tanks for the amount of damage that you take. In the current meta where Rocket team up with both Punisher and Bucky is incredibly strong, I feel like 2 shield tanks are kind of a necessity most of the time. So learning to expand your skill set as well is a huge way to be able to help your team, because like I said before, you understand what makes that role good and how to counter that role. So that's good to, like I said, to pick up that slack on your team and to expose those cracks in the enemy's foundation. And that's how you win matches a lot of the time, is to be able to just take over the bad parts of the game. I don't know what I'm saying right now. I'm kind of going on a long rant. This has all been one take, by the way, this entire video. So I'm just trying to kind of, and this is all mostly off the top of my head. I have a few notes where of different talking points that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, anyways, I get on the tangent sometimes. If you're still watching the video at this point, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate that. So basically, another thing that is huge as well is if you do switch, a big thing that I need to say is learn if you want to use your ultimate before you switch, or you get 50% ultimate if you do switch when you have 50% or more ultimate. So yeah, you might have ultimate, but is it a good ultimate? And is it the kind of thing that can change a fight in 2 seconds? A lot of the time, I would say probably not, especially if you haven't used it yet and you're still playing not that great. I would definitely recommend using that 50% ult, because you could get 50% ult so quickly. Something that one of my teammates did the other day that kind of annoyed the hell out of me is they were on Psylocke and they agreed at the end of the round 1. They're like, hey, it's not working, I'm going to go support. And you know what they did? In the spawn of second point, as we're waiting to go out, he used his Psylocke ultimate and then switched to healer. And I'm like, bro, the smarter play would have been like, well, I'm just gonna switch without using the ult and like ego flexing. Like, bro, you just wasted 50% of your ult charge. Like, you could have just gotten 50% just by switching to a support and said, I just wanted to use that. So be smart about using your ult. And if you do want to switch, make sure that, you know, you think it through of, oh, I don't want to click this person, then this person, and this person, because then you're just wasting cooldown percentages on your ultimate. So be smart about that. Don't just go off the rails and just start switching 10 times before you even run out of spawn, especially after the first round or like after that match has been going for a while. So another thing that I want to talk about as well was I feel like switching as well and learning when to switch and learning, you know, and like talking to your teammates about switching. What it does as well is it prevents the enemies from snowballing, and it prevents them from just taking over a match and just absolutely rolling over your entire team. What it does is it keeps your enemies on their toes, so that they can't really get a firm grasp on the match, and that way you can kind of tug back some control and you're like, hey, now I'm in charge of this because you're not as strong against, and you were expecting me to be on this other character. Now I'm on this character. Then they have to shift their strategy slightly, and that's just a huge way to help your team as well. So I don't know. That's just that's a huge way to think of it as well. Also, switching to characters that are gonna maximize like team ups and everything is a huge way to go as well, because team ups in this game are incredibly powerful, and team ups are just really strong in general, especially if you can get the right ones. So I don't know, that's just a few things that I want to talk about for this, because I don't know, I definitely feel like this is a very important topic that I feel like a lot of people just kind of, they brush it off on everybody else. It's always, oh, my teammate's not switching. Guys, this happens to you too as well, and you might not realize this, but I just implore you to be more open-minded about this. You're not going to play to the best of your abilities every single match. It happens. Some of us have bad matches, and that's the fact of life, and that's the reality of everything. So basically, if you're having a bad match, and if your allies are having bad matches too, don't just look to blame your allies. If you can switch and maybe shift around a few pieces of the puzzle of your team, maybe those switches are what locks your team back into place and really helps your team win the overall match. So I don't know, I feel like it's worth thinking about. And if this is the kind of video that helps you and, you know, kind of unlocks something in your brain, I'd appreciate if you could like and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow it here, especially in the Marvel Rivals category, and I'm trying to I'm trying to be educational out here, but also at the same time I want to, I don't know, I just like to provide you guys with fun stuff to do. So I don't know, I enjoy it. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I stream live 5 days a week on Twitch as well. So if you want to go stop by the Twitch channel and follow there, I'd love to hear every single person that follows over there be like, hey, I came from this video. That'd be super sick. Like I love having you guys over there. It's awesome. It means the absolute world to me. The link to that will be in the description as well. And overall, I can do all the whole like content creator, like, hey, follow this, subscribe to this. But I mean, I know you guys have heard it 1,000 times before. So if you want to do any of that stuff, you guys know how to do everything. The links to everything will be in the description. If you want to follow me on anything, I'd appreciate that. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this video helped. If it did, also send this to your friends as well. Especially the ones that need to switch more often. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm not going to talk your ears off any further, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.